Okay, so we were down in Letchworth Park and saw the dam. I didn't do much recording the dam because it was so windy and it was federal land. I wasn't sure what we could do.
Okay.
And out of curiosity, I knew around the area the torture tree was nearby. Turned out it was like 10 minutes away.
Boyd and Sullivan Park.
We're at Boyd and Sullivan Park in Coolerville, New York. And
check that. Boyd
Parker.
Boyd and
Parker.
Boyd and Parker Park.
The two people who were killed at the tree. So we're going to take a little walk around. We're going to show you the tree. They have a little memorial over here for them. It's just literally on the side of the road. You can tell. Traffic behind me. All right. So what that beat up sign is basically telling you, this was the western end of the Sullivan campaign, which Matt and I have kind of talking about maybe next year we're going to visit more sites on the Sullivan campaign. Long story short, it was ordered retaliation due to a decimation of a colonial village, and Washington sent out Sullivan to pay back the Native Americans who were supporting the British, and Sullivan really did a number, and Boyd and Parker were sent on ahead in a recce with I think the route they said it was 5 to 20 people. They really don't have that many people that were down. How many were there? To recce ahead. Same situation we had in a few other things we talked about on our podcast. Basically, the people in charge were ignoring the natives and ignoring the scouts. But they sent Boyd and Parker and their group through. Ended up captured by the Seneca. There was one English officer that was there, but he kind of just turned Boyd and Parker over to the Senecas, and the Senecas wanted to send a message. Now you got to remember, the Senecas at this point had been at the brute force end of Sullivan's campaign, and entire villages were gone. People just slaughtered. But those were his orders, because again, it was retaliation on a colonist village that had gotten destroyed the year prior. So you can see it in the distance, the tree. I'm not going to go into too much gory details. You can look it up. But the torture tree, that is the appropriate name for the tree. This is where Boyd and Parker were murdered, tortured, and murdered. It was a laundry list of things that were done to them. And the final was basically they were forced to walk around the tree, winding their intestines around it. That's the only details I'm going to give you. The rest are pretty horrific. So this is the tree. And, it's been 200 years, but this tree was already pretty huge at this point. It has now been, the National Arborist Association, they've sent to protect this tree. So this tree was used in the Revolutionary War, and it is huge. I'm going to try to walk around it. Sorry for the road noise. We are literally just off the road, and I'm trying to speak as close as I can in the microphone. But it's a huge tree. And like I said, those two men were brutally tortured. Again, it was retaliation upon retaliation upon retaliation. The whole Sullivan campaign is a horrendous storyline in the Revolutionary War. And like I said, Matt and I are kind of thinking about hitting some more spots next year, specifically related to the Sullivan campaign. When we were at Letchworth State Park, they talked about how the Sullivan campaign affected the Native Americans, the Senecas there. So here's another monument to to the armies. So we have General Clinton, General Sullivan, and it was mainly Sullivan that came up through here and decimated the Senecas in retaliation. Again, this was ordered by George Washington. Remember that. Yeah. Genesee Castle, Little Beardstown, with the hills there. Yes, in retaliation for Boyd and Parker being killed, Sullivan found the village and wiped it off the face of the earth. The quote was left that there was not enough food to feed a child for a day. And this happened in September, I believe. So all the stuff they had stored for winter was gone, basically guaranteeing that they were going to be starved for the winter. Like I said, it's a very brutal part of the American Revolution. And it's just so strange. There's the tree, and you were right off the side of the road. And you get a good side view. There's Matt going around it. And up there is another falcon. Kind of a side note, on the way here, we almost ran into a peregrine falcon. It had landed on the side of the road, and then we scared it, and it almost flew directly into our car. So I'm so glad we didn't hit it, because once they're cool, and two, they're endangered. So, yes. A little more of information down here about what was gone. And just a reminder too that when they were destroying these villages, these weren't small little villages. You know, people think, oh, there was just a couple homes and they were gathered. No, these were vast expanses of land. We would really call them, they were towns. You can't sugarcoat it at all. Okay, it is really loud. I may have to voice over this later. So